Harness the good energy. Block out the bad. Harness energy. Block bad. Feel the flow. Happy, feel it. It's circular. Like a carousel. They go up and down and around. Feel the flow, happy. Feel it.
Psycho. The price is wrong, bitch.
Game on, hey, grab the net, sticks in the middle. Time for episode 22. Straight off the pipe. We are proud members of the Hockey Network, and as always, not as always tonight, it's your special co-host, guest co-host that is, Otto, the homeless caddy for Happy Gilmore, and my co-host tonight is the only guy that's ever taken his skate off in a hockey game and tried to stab somebody with it, Happy Gilmore. How's it going, Hap?
6 more months till hockey season. Gotta get in shape.
Toughen up.
Toughen up.
You got to win me some money.
Green jacket, gold jacket. Who gives a crap?
Did somebody drop a quarter?
No. I think it was not a very good outing against the Philadelphia Flyers. I think there's a couple that Mikko Koskinen would like back, especially that kind of slap shot there from kind of the circles about 25 feet out. That was a goal that an NHL goalie cannot allow. And I thought, different than years past, in that game we got down, came back, got down, came back, but that goal, no coming back from. But Mikko's played fairly well, laid an egg against Flyers, and then stood on his head against the Canucks, especially late in the third period. I think the team in front of him played pretty well, but that was a good bounce back game for him. I would have liked to have seen him end that with a shutout because I think he deserved it. Late goal by the Canucks there kind of ruined that shutout bid, but yeah.
Yeah, that shutout stank a little, 5 seconds left. It stings. There's no doubt. I was actually pissed off. I thought, Mikko had a great game, but I thought he deserved the shutout for those 2 saves alone on the 6-on-4 when he, who was it, Besser and JT Miller, maybe the second one. There's like 10 bell chances there for both those guys on that power play. And if they score there, that's a different game going in, with the goalie pulled now and ending that game. So I thought that's where Koskinen won him the game, and that's where he deserved the shutout. So that sucked, man, at 5 seconds. But, Besser did well to put it where he did and spoil it for him.
Yeah, really the last 5 minutes of the third, Mikko was standing on his head. He played really solid there. And shame on McDavid for only having 1 point against the Canucks. What are we doing here?
Yeah. Yeah. What did you say to me earlier? He almost looked human.
I'm the next
yeah.
Come to rob you.
Okay, get out of here, kid.
Or at least say you can do it.
You look sick. What's going on, Holmes?
I don't talk much. I'm homeless. I just give advice on golf clubs. You should use the 5-iron.
Bye.
Happy Halloween.
Bye, Holmes.
People are coming in here to trick or treat. This is a podcast room. Come on.
I thought you said you were putting a lock on Cell Block 99's door. Is that power system still down at the penitentiary, or how do you have the inmates just running wild there? What kind of operation is this?
I don't know.
Maybe you should get it together. Figure out how to run a jail, okay?
Somebody's closer.
How about I get you a warm glass of shut the hell up? Yeah, McDavid looked human, right? I guess, 1 point, and in all of that, he had 9 shots on net for, I think, the second straight game, to be honest. I thought McDavid did an awesome job controlling the defensive end as well this game. He stopped Bo Horvat on that one chance and probably saved a goal there, in my opinion. look what he did with Luke Shen. Going 1-1 on the train tracks with Shen and dropped that 230-pounder on his ass. He also, you're given the hit of the night. And in all fairness to Connor McDavid, if Jesse Puljujarvi doesn't ring one off the post for that 10-bell chance, then Connor's got his next multi-point game.
What a giveaway! What a giveaway that was!
And what a
Connor's
giveaway
tape.
and what a give it was by McDavid. Like, just put it on a tee for Jesse there, and he missed that by millimeters, man. That just about went straight off the pipe and in.
Yeah, a little something more for us to talk about.
Yeah, Koski looked good, man. I guess like, what do you expect from your backup goalie, though, right? Like, yeah, he had a shitty game in Philadelphia, and Joaquin Gage in their podcast and on TSN argued that he was at fault for all 4 goals. He was just right upset about it. And, 2 for sure. 3 is arguable. You know what, though? What do you expect out of your backup goalie? He's played 5 games, and he had a stinker against a good team. Wow. Oh, well. I'm not going to jump on Koskinen right now for his play. He's got a .936 save percentage and a 4-1 record, Durs.
Yeah, I would say.
Happy.
Yeah, that's right. You little son of a bitch, Ball. Why don't you just go home? That's your home. Are you too good for your home? Answer me. Suck my white ass, Ball. So yeah, I wouldn't fault Mikko for 3 of them, but it'd be like the Nurse. The puck's bouncing. He tries to bat it out, and he puts it right on the tape, and that gets fired home. I wouldn't blame Mikko for that one. The mishandle, that kind of a lazy, sleepy, floppy wraparound for Giroux. Okay. The only one I really didn't like was the slap shot, basically along the ice, 5-hole from the top of the circles. You can't allow that.
He might have been startled by the Nurse play. Like, I bet you if Nurse knew actually how much time was on the clock, he would have probably played that differently. But you still got to have that as an NHL goalie. But like I said, I'm not gonna jump on him. I think he's 4-1 with a .936 save percentage. Koskinen's done more than his job, and sounds like Smith's been taking shots in practice and maybe ready for Seattle on Monday.
Yeah.
You think it's odd that we never saw Skinner during any of that? Especially given what happened to Koskinen at the beginning of last year, getting burnt out?
I think if Smith was out longer term, you would have saw Skinner here. I don't think they'd run Mikko completely ragged, but to give a little bit of coverage for Mike to come back, I think it's okay. I would have liked to seen a game out of Skinner just to see what he's all about. At this level, because I thought he did all right in preseason. So why not? You got him here, get him into a game. But
yeah, I would have liked to have seen that Arizona game. I think that would have been a nice. They're basically skating an AHL quality team there, anyways. So that's not off the quality of competition Skinner's used to playing against, and ultimately could have gave him some confidence, and maybe even gave the team some confidence to know that when Skinner's in there at an NHL competitive level, that he's reliable. And they had the rookie party, so he could have felt involved there a little bit, and that's okay though. I think that it is what it is. He still gets his NHL experience and his NHL salary, and gets to ride with the team and practice and all of that. So, there's still a benefit in there for Skinner for sure.
You're gonna die, clown!
Are you just gonna keep dropping random quotes and scaring the shit out of me like that?
Probably.
I sleep in a tent in the forest. I don't get a lot of sleep. You're gonna give me a heart attack.
Hey, why don't you just go eat some hay? Make things out of clay. Down by the bay. I just may. What do you say?
That was an awesome one, actually. You should have told me you're going to say that. I could have queued you up with Shooter's line first, at least. Stay out of the way. Listen to what I say. Oh, happy. Third line's been good, eh? It's interesting to see how a good team operates when you got that kind of depth. And, you got your top six as your top six, and your third line, it still isn't worth breaking up. Been fantastic to see. I'd like to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I saw Jackie B on Twitter there last night. I think.
Jackie B.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong,
I caddy for her sometimes too.
she's a fantastic hockey lady on Twitter and knows her shit. But kind of threw it out there. Would you like to see Fogle take Yamamoto's spot? Up on the second line, and my answer to that is hell no. We haven't had a third line that's been kind of a wrecking crew for over a decade and maybe longer. We might have to go back to the days of, Greer, Marchant, and Morrow to really have a fair comparison. I mean, Pisani, Torres, and Mike Pekka, in the '06 playoffs played at a pretty high level, but that was just for one playoff run. A consistent third line, I think it's been a long time coming, and I think it's a necessary evil for this team, so I wouldn't do it.
Maltby with Holmstrom and McCarty, like we're talking that
Yeah.
one of the best third lines in the league. I think we got one of the best top sixes, one of the best third lines. I mean, we talked about this before the season started, that this is going to be one of the best top nines we've seen in maybe since Mark Messier. So what I think is happening is they're proving it. To you and Jackie B's conversation, I think I unfortunately have to agree with you, although I'm your caddy, so it's good that we get along every once in a while and can come together on a decision. But you can't break that line up. There's too much chemistry. They're producing, and I think the possession numbers that they're driving are really helping kind of put a Band-Aid on the defense. We haven't had to worry about Keith and CC. We haven't had to worry about Cuckoo. I mean, we always worry about Barry, Barry being Barry. But those guys having the puck for as long as they do and driving possession is, I think, really, kind of helped the overall possession game for the entire team. So to break that up to put Yamamoto on, I don't think makes a ton of sense. He's gonna have to bump all the way down to the fourth line if that's the case. And in my opinion, Yamamoto's not a fourth line player. So, maybe you can stick him in the press box and make him watch for a few, but I'm not sure that he's played poorly enough to deserve a demotion. I know he's on the schneid and he hasn't got any points, but Yama's doing a lot of really good things. I think his high hockey IQ, even though it's not helping him finish, it's helping him on the defensive side of the puck. And I've got a sneaking suspicion Leon Draisaitl really likes him on his line. You remember last year when everybody was just baffled that Nuge was on McDavid's line all the time, and then it started coming out a little bit here and there that McDavid really wanted Nuge on his line, and that's why it kept happening, because it allows McDavid to cheat, right? Nuge is one of the best defensive players in the league and really good defensive center, let alone a winger. So when you've got that kind of backup, it allows you to cheat. And I wonder if Draisaitl doesn't like that as, a skill that Yamamoto can provide to that line. Not to mention, he's still a hell of a forechecker. He causes turnovers. He causes penalties. I know he took a couple of stupid ones a few games ago, but he's still drawn more penalties than he's taken this year. In fact, I think he drew the penalty that got us the game-winning power play goal against Vancouver. So, what's caused the demotion other than no goals and points? And I mean, it's pretty sad he didn't even have a attempted shot, let alone a shot versus Vancouver. He had a nice feed from Draisaitl there, but he kind of couldn't get the puck off there. I don't know. Like, I agree with you. You can't. Do you think he's deserved a demotion? Like, I know you said you don't think he deserves to be on the third line, and I understand that third line wise, but do you think he should not be on the second line?
Well, I'm stupid. You're smart. I was wrong. You were right. You're the best. I'm the worst. You're very good.
I'm more attractive. You are less attractive.
You're very good looking. I'm not attractive.
This is true. This is true.
You know what? We're winning games right now, and I kind of think that you buy Yamamoto some time to find his game while you're winning hockey games. If you go into an extended losing streak, then yeah, I don't. You can't give him rope forever. So yeah, you could try Tyler Benson in his spot and put him on the fourth line, and you know, get him to check and or whatever. It almost, I don't know what his contract situation is, but it's almost like Yamamoto's. It's almost like it. Honestly, I would consider maybe a stint in the AHL if that's doable without him having to go through waivers. I'm not exactly sure where he's at, but I think he needs to, remember what it's like to put the puck in the net and get his confidence up. I think it's all just mental. I think that's his biggest problem. If
He's outside of his entry level, so he wouldn't have to go on waivers. They would have to pay him his full salary because he's on a one-way contract,
okay.
and then find somebody to fill his spot that makes 1.5 million or less.
Yeah. So,
but it's a value contract in the top six, and quite honestly, he's producing. So not productive points wise, but he's producing value to the team and to the line, and providing power play opportunities. Which how's the power play? Do you think is it good or above average, or how would you describe it?
What, friends listen to Endless Love in the Dark? I think that power play is like nothing we've ever seen before.
Endless love.
My endless love. I think it's like nothing we've ever seen before. And if a team does manage to kill it off, which half the time they don't, but if they manage to kill it off,
more than half the time they don't.
I think it affects the other team for 2, 3, 4 shifts afterwards. They're worn out. I mean, you have to do a lot of defending in that time with the puck movement and control and the zone time that power play has. Like, on how many power plays do you see them have to go back and retrieve the puck in their own end more than once in those 2 minutes?
Yeah,
like it's rare. It's rare.
Yeah, if they're playing a 90-second power play and Quinn Hughes has to defend it for 88 seconds, that's a long shift of running around in circles.
Yeah.
So you're right. Yeah, you got to recover. You got to get your lines straightened back out after. And I kind of like the way that Tippett's got the lines going too with the pairs. Like with Nuge and Hyman and them both being on the top unit in the power play as well, and then also it kind of just has more flow to it. Like I feel like it's this year there's less hiccups and how to get the lines back sorted out after special teams. It feels like he's after every shorthanded, he's got McDavid and Draisaitl jumping on the ice together, and for the first 90 seconds of every power play, it's McDavid and Draisaitl and Nuge and Hyman, and it's just like it's such a pattern now that it's almost easier for them to recover after, adversely to what you're saying to teams who are trying to recover after Oilers special teams.
Watching that last game too, I think it needs to be said, in preseason, it was pretty nerve-wracking watching Cody Ceci on the ice. And at times now, I mean, he's just calm and cool and efficient, and it's becoming a solid pairing with him and Keith. And I kind of like that Keith is the bad guy in Vancouver, getting the Boo Birds there. I noticed too though, like he doesn't do a lot with the puck really. He's not the same player that he was in Chicago. It's not spending a lot of time with the puck. It's make a play and defend. He's concentrating more on defending than he is on the offense. I think that's clear.
Yeah, I give him that. He's adjusted to the role.
Yeah, and I see him and CC as starting to know where each other is going to be and work pretty good as a unit. but I really like watching Cody Ceci now. The guy is just an efficient defender, and really aggressive and hard on pucks with his stick. Like, they're not a landmine like everybody thought they were going to be. They're pretty solid. Like you say, Barry's the guy to watch for. And I think since being kind of pushed down in the lineup a little bit, it's helped his game, because I think he is starting to come around a bit.
Yeah.
Chipped in that beautiful backhand goal the other night against Philly. I mean, that was really nice, and Leon helped that out big time too. But
yeah, I didn't see really Barry get overly walked in the last two games. Like there wasn't such a glaring, oh my god, that was scary. Where you're like, you get the butterflies in your stomach as soon as the guy's gone by him. I thought he was settled down a little bit too.
Quality of competition has went down a little bit.
Yeah, you're not playing against the top lines, that's for sure. Which he would have been when he was with Nurse. That said, Bouchard sure handled the role well.
Yeah, him and Nurse are, a solid pairing. I've noticed with Nurse too, he's not as, like last year he was jumping up in every single play. He's playing more of a responsible defensive game too. Got that contract, and now he doesn't feel like he needs to score 50 points this season to help the team. He's concentrated more on being a defenseman, which I think is a good thing. He's
absorbing more minutes because of it too. I think we're seeing him now at 30 minutes a night, which is Pronger-esque.
Yeah.
And we needed that. We talked about that before the season, because we said, how are we going to shelter minutes of our second pairing being Keith and Ceci and not let them get up to 20 and over 20 minutes a night, which has happened. It's happened. And the only reason it's happened is because Nurse has been able to absorb 30.
James S. on YouTube there's got a couple of comments that kind of are close to what we're talking about here. One is how did that goal with 5 seconds left make a good game feel like a loss? For me, it didn't make a good game feel like a loss. It just sort of took the wind out of the sails of Mikko standing on his head and probably deserving a shutout. That's the only thing that did for me. And then he says, is there value in moving Barry? Maybe at the trade deadline as part of a package to acquire a better or a clutch starting goalie. Maybe that's something to consider. But I think you're taking a bit of a loss trying to deal him right now.
Yeah, I think I would agree on that as well. It didn't feel like a loss for me either. It felt like a low blow, like it was like a WWF match or WWE match where I just won the match, and as I was getting my arm raised by the referee, the guy rolled over and uppercutted me in the nuts from behind. I felt bad for Mikko because I thought he really deserved it. Got a lot of criticism after that Philadelphia game, a lot, and quite solely blamed by almost everybody that reported on that game. So to come back like that, I think shows a lot of, mental fortitude and maybe even confidence that he's lacked in the past. So I just wanted to shout out for him for that. And what was the second thing he had said? Sorry. Oh, a value for Barry. Yeah. I think it would be close to negative value right now. You can't demote a guy to your third pairing and then say, hey, who wants him at full price? And quite honestly, if we're going to win a Stanley Cup, we need depth on the back end. And Barry is that. If he can play a first, second, or third pairing role and shoot right, I think that's somebody we got to hold on to be honest, whether we like his defensive play or not. Tyson Barrie has always come with his defensive lapses. That's not different than Toronto or Edmonton last year either, to be honest. He is who he is. We've said for a long time, he reminds me a lot more of Marc-Andre Bergeron than most.
Yeah, and the upside to Barry that I don't think you want to tinker with too much unless you can replace it, is kind of his, power play. We've got a power play that's kicking ass, and I know you can slot Bouchard into there. But
Mm-hmm.
there is a familiarity with Barry and the rest of the crew. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I would mess with that too much. But when it comes trade deadline and you know if there's goalies out there that are going to help, then maybe that's something to think about.
Well, also by Barry playing that power play, it's part of the whole sheltering minutes thing that we just were talking about. Because by Barry being able to go out and play 5.5 minutes of every 6 minutes of power play, he's allowing Bouchard to go out and kill penalties, and he's
Yeah,
allowing Nurse to save up his energy for the other 30 minutes of really tough hockey that he's got to play defending against the other team's first line
yeah,
and
yeah,
killing penalties, right?
yeah,
So because we've got Bouchard and Nurse killing penalties, I really like Barry as being deployed as that power play specialist.
yeah. No, I agree with you.
Good comment though, James, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, and Bouchard, I think, has grown into that penalty killing role. On the fly this season. I don't know if that was something that he always had in his repertoire.
No, it wasn't.
Going back to his junior days, but it's certainly developed, and he's holding his own and then some. So, yeah,
Speaking of penalty killing, Yamamoto is also providing value there too. I think he's actually been excellent on the penalty kill. And who was it? Maybe Bruce McCurdy, I thought, maybe said on the Cult of Hockey this weekend that to be 5'7" or 5'8" and be on the penalty kill, you better have a high hockey IQ. And I see Yamamoto being that player there. So again, more residual value that, I'm not sure I'd want Tyler Benson necessarily killing top line penalty. I know he can kill penalties, but you know what I mean? There's more to just points and what Yamo's doing. Yamo all of a sudden throws up 4 points in the next 3 games or something like that. I'd say the monkey's long off of his back, and all of a sudden he's looking at a really good season, to be honest.
he's in a contract year as well. So,
Exactly.
yeah, um, with him or small guys, you got to be tenacious and dog on a bone, and that's Yamamoto to a T. I mean, that's his game. Um, yeah.
Yep, for sure.
I think I just killed the Mr. Lady.
Mister.
Yeah. I haven't even, the Seattle coming in on Monday will be an interesting one. Um, I think they're an alright club. Um, they've showed that they can play a decent brand of hockey. I guess the other thing I got to talk to you about is those people down the road, down Highway 2. What the hell is going on?
Well, I don't know. When your goalie only lets in one goal in 4 games, it's pretty easy to put up dubs. Markstrom's been unbelievable, man. Like he's got a 970 or something. Like I don't know what else you want to say about those guys up down there.
That's about it. They need to start losing some more games. They can't be close to us.
Any good comes out of that is we'll have some old 80s BOA Battle of Alberta, buddy, because if those end up being the top 2 teams in the Pacific, or somehow we can end up getting lined up in the playoffs, I wouldn't hate that. As much as I'd celebrate those guys down there being in last place, I'd also love to see a playoff matchup against them, especially in the first round. We might actually get out of the first round.
If I saw myself in clothes like that, I'd have to kick my own ass.
Yeah, you should.
Giordano coming to town on Monday.
Yeah, right. The knee hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about Seattle. They'll play a tough game. I'm sure that's their brand of hockey. I think we've got just 10 times the offensive gunpowder and skill. I think if Seattle can grind it down, maybe. But Phoenix tried to grind it down on us. How did that work out? I don't know. It's tough to trap this team. So they can try. We'll see. Overall, I've just really liked. You remember when we talked? I don't know how many episodes it would have been ago now, but we talked about who is the. Why am I blanking on the Vegas coach's name that came from San Jose?
Gerard Gallant. Oh, not Gerard Gallant. Yeah.
They fired Gallant for him.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Cheapers, Mike.
What?
Anyways, you think about it.
Yeah.
When he was on TSN 1260 talking to Gregory, he talked about the trends that he'd noticed in hockey and how you remember we'd talked about, the way that coaches started to defend against the trap or play against the teams that were trapping them was to bring up the fourth player along in the rush from the defense. And at the beginning of the year, we had talked about how because of that trend in the NHL, you and I actually guessed or wondered whether that was something that Ken Holland was looking for. Was he looking for guys that actually, we lost our Larsons, we lost our guys that could really grind it out and play that tough style on the back end, but he filled every role with somebody who can snap the puck tape to tape and make a good first pass and jump up in the rush. And those are the types of players that, what's the coach's name?
Peter DeBoer.
DeBoer, thank you. That DeBoer had said was the trend, right? So now we've got these types of defensemen that are jumping up in the rush. That helps our possession game. That takes the puck out of our own end, which, again, now that, can cover for a weaker defensive corps. And then as well, that third line, like we talked about. When they're pumping like they are, not only providing scoring depth, but providing possession metrics like they are, the puck's not, it's just so much rarely in our own end. It's honestly like watching a different Oilers team this year. I feel like there's so many times we used to watch us chasing the cycle and just begging somebody to be able to break up the cycle and ice it even, or how many times we used to watch. Now it's just like it seems like as soon as it's in our end, either Duncan Keith's taking a slap shot off of someone else's stick to deflect it down the ice, or someone's rushing it out, or it's not in our end very long anymore, which is it's like a different team. It's been fantastic to watch. But I guess my ramble on is I'm starting to wonder more and more and believe more and more that Holland knew what he was looking for. He went and got Hyman, he went and got Fogle, and he went and got Ryan. And that's the third line. And then he went and got Keith, and then he went and got Cece. I don't love the decision, but it's working. And, they're doing their job the minimum amount of time that they have to spend in their own end. And the rest of the time, they're contributing. And in fact, Keith's 6 block shots. I'll give him a pat on the ass for that. Good for him. Like that keeps the puck out of Koskinen's crease. That's helping. That's a turnover. If Duncan Keith blocks a shot, now the Oilers break out. So there's all sorts of way to, get possession of the puck and keep possession and break out. And I think he contributed that way too. So I don't know. Good on Holland for putting the pieces together to have the Korski and the Fensky and all the metrics all, make a different Oilers team.
Where were you on that one, dipshit?
I was calculating my Korski.
Keith and Cece, the one thing I'll say about the two of them is once the puck is actually inside our own blue line, they're really good at breaking up cycles and shutting plays down. The part of them that still is a little bit worrisome is, when the other team has the puck and they're coming across the blue line.
Defending the rush.
Yeah, like little juke moves. Those little things can trip them up.
It's that edge work, right? I think that's where Keith and CC aren't the fleetest of foot, so that's where that comes into play.
As long as they don't get hypnotized by the puck, they're fine. But if they start watching it a little bit, then they can get walked and bad things can happen. But once the puck's inside our blue line, I enjoy watching those two work, like their stick work and mean and nasty, especially when the puck's on the wall. If you watch what they do, they play a pretty hard-nosed brand of hockey, and it's probably because they're not the fleetest of foot. But Yeah, and then
Yeah,
when
it's
they
not the Adam Larson way to do it, but I don't think Keith's that fun to play against.
no when when they retrieve it, they're looking for a 6 8 foot pass to the nearest guy and get out. And if they don't see that right away, then they're making a hard play, and they don't fuck around. It's
Yeah, there is no fuck around. It's either they find somebody that they can put it on their tape, or he's
yeah.
taking a slap shot in someone's general direction, and he expects that player to get their stick on it so that it's not icing, and they can go dump it in and chase it.
Yeah, and if it's the other team, it's going off their stick blade and 15 rows up
Yeah.
into the stands. Like it's, yeah,
Yeah, like in the first 5 games, nobody we played was a playoff team last year. And, we struggled against Philly when they really started to turn up the offense. Although I think we, played well and turned up our own offense against Philly as well. It'll be interesting to see how we fare against the Colorados and the Torontos and the teams that can really high fly and wheel and play that same up and down the ice track race, because that's where I think we might see Keith or Cece exposed and not being able to close their gaps or use their edge work to be able to, keep guys in tight and distinguish offense.
I thought we actually played really well against the Flyers. It just didn't. It wasn't Mikko's night, and you know what? People want to crucify him for that. That happens to every goalie. I don't really care who you are, so as long as you don't make that a habit, I'm okay with it. I don't know. Like I think goalies are so up and down. I didn't love Mikko last season. This season, it's a brand new season and start again. And
Yep.
he's had a good start. He had one rough game against Canucks. I think he's a big reason why we got the win, because the other guy in the other net was standing on his head. I think we were dominating the Canucks for at least 2/3 of that hockey game. Yeah.
Oh, if Demko doesn't keep them in that first period, that game's a runaway, I think. Like they crushed them in the first period.
Yeah. No, McDavid should have had a hat trick in the first.
Yeah. Running into good goalies. I give Carter Hart all the credit in the world too, man. It's Sherwood Park represent. He's hasn't played back in his hometown here in 2 years. The last time he played, I think he got beat 5-2 and got pulled. And actually said in an interview in Philadelphia that stung him, and it actually sat with him over the off season. And then they, separated the divisions during the COVID season, so he didn't get to come back up to Canada and play here again. So for 2 years, he, had that game sting as a memory, and now has family here for this game and back in the stands. I knew we were going to see a motivated Carter Hart. There was no doubt. And when McDavid gets 9 shots and 2 or 3 grade A chances, and you stop that, all the credit to you, man. I think Carter Hart played a hell of a game as well.
Somebody's closer. Yeah, that Philly game, it just you're not going to win them all. So we dropped that game, and now it's time to go on another streak. And we got one and beat the Kraken on Monday, and it's another win streak again. Man, it's just it's hard to take that we're playing well and Calgary's right with us.
Yeah, I know, it's for sure. But like I said, and Vegas improving too, to be honest. Nobody said it was going to be easy.
You sent me a picture of your costume, and it looks better than you do on air.
Lighting.
Yeah.
I could say the same about the picture you sent me.
Oh, yeah. Reality.
Oh, as much fun as we're having in costumes and Halloween, do you want to get into the shitty subject that's happened in the NHL and do some what the frack, or should we save that still?
No, let's rip the Band-Aid off, get that over with, and then make people laugh again before we gotta say goodnight to them.
All right. Well, what the frack? What the frack is going on in Chicago, buddy? What the frack?
You know, as a guy that used to coach minor hockey, part of what you have to go through, like in Alberta, after what happened in Swift Current many years ago that came to light, was you had to do a criminal record check to be able to coach, and a coaching course, and all of that. And so you go through that, then you had to sign basically a piece of paper saying that you would never be in a room on the ice, at somebody's house, out at the movies, whatever, alone with any of your players. So anytime because I was a head coach the 1 year, anytime me as a coach would want to talk to a player, there always had to be another adult there with you. And that was all because of what Graham James did to Sheldon Kennedy and Theo Fleury back in the day. So that was something that I had to go through to coach as part of Alberta minor hockey, and I believe that's across the board. And Grant Prairie minor hockey, they enforce that, and I'm sure every minor hockey jurisdiction follows the same set of rules. So it's baffling to me that a video coach could have a player in the NHL, come over to discuss games alone. And it sickens me, to my very core, that at that high level of being like a black ace on an NHL club that's in the Stanley Cup playoffs, going for a cup, it sickens me to my very core that still at that elite level, coaches were making the show as leverage to, perform despicable acts. I am disgusted by it. I'm saddened by it. And that whole thing makes you wonder if there's more than just what happened in Chicago around the league. And it definitely has a black cloud, surrounding the game. It angers me that a Stanley Cup was more important than human decency and, preserving someone's, basic humanity. I've seen shit online that really disgusts me, like how does a guy 6'4", whatever he weighs, get into those situations and you have no understanding of victims or any of that kind of stuff if you're going to say something that fucking retarded or stupid, I should say. It's out of line, and I don't know, man. It bothers me. It bothers me that coaches and general managers and whoever else knew didn't do. The police should have been called there. I mean that.
Oh yeah.
John Shannon said that on Oilers Now, and I mean he's right. I mean it's criminal. It's beyond. Yeah, it's beyond disgusting. It's criminality, and I don't know. I don't want to get too hard on individual players because I don't know what they know, what they didn't know. It's hard to believe that guys wouldn't know, but I do know, being in locker rooms, that sometimes things are broadcast news and everybody hears it, the conversation. And then I also know that guys whisper and whatever, and rumors swirl, and people don't want to buy into rumors because it's not firsthand knowledge and all that. And I don't know. Hearing Duncan Keith say that he didn't find out about Brad Aldridge's being gone from the team until next training camp when he asked where's Brad, and he said that he was told that he couldn't handle the rigors of the NHL schedule, so he went back to school. With all the things that were covered up, I don't know if that's true, not true. I have no idea. I know, Brent Sopel has said that he believed that everybody knew, and Kyle Beach said the same thing. Believing that everybody knows and knowing that everybody knows is a different thing. But I don't know where to put that. I'm not here to call Kyle Beach a liar or anything like that. He's a victim. I think he deserves grace and compassion and everything that goes along with that. I also think, how could you be a leader, wear a letter on your jersey in Chicago and be a leader when so much behind the scenes there is filth, disgust, trash, cup at all costs. I don't know. I think, that's not... leadership starts at the very top, So the owner, the president, the general manager, all the way down, they failed the guy. And, did everybody in the locker room fail the guy? Potentially. I don't know it for a fact, but potentially. So, I've seen things where people want to run Keith out of town and, he shouldn't be playing for the Oilers and we don't want him in our dressing room. I'll say one thing. I'm kind of glad, and maybe this is the wrong thing to say because I don't know what really went on, but I'm kind of glad that he isn't wearing a letter here, that he wasn't just gifted, an A coming into Edmonton. I'm glad that it's Leon and it's, Darnell and Nuge wearing the letters here. I think that's good. And Connor, you're our captain, you're our leader. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not holding a pitchfork for the guy, and I don't have ill feelings towards him because he's a $5.5 million defenseman that's older and all of that, and you kind of already had bad feelings towards the guy. So anything that comes around this, you got a full court press on him. I'm not that way, but if he did know and he didn't do anything, then I can't say that I respect that because I don't. But what he knew and what he didn't know, I don't know. Is he telling the truth? I don't know. He's had 10 years to think of a different story, so could have made a good one. But it did kind of, to me, sound a little bit compelling when he said that, in training camp they told him that Brad Aldrich couldn't handle it. That kind of fits in with everything else that they swept under the rug. So I don't know.
You want me to jump in?
Yeah, it's your turn.
I just didn't want to interrupt. I think, it's a lot to take in, right? And
For sure.
it hits us personally at Heavy Hockey, and it's something that should have been given a hell of a lot more dignity and attention and responsibility towards. I mean, first and foremost, I feel awful for Kyle. To have had to go through what he did and persevere and survive and come out the other end and have the courage to come out and reveal himself and talk about it and position himself as future assistance for anybody else and to be able to do it to stop maybe potentially this happening to somebody else or helping the more stories come out. And I think that needs to be commended above all else. I flew my orange and blue flag the last few weeks and I enjoyed watching the hockey games, but I can't really say that I was a fantastic fan of hockey. I think there's no fucking way that the league hasn't mishandled this. There's no fucking way that the NHLPA hasn't mishandled this. And I'm sorry, Durst, I'm going to go on the edge a little bit here and maybe take a stance, but there's no fucking way that the players didn't know about this, dude. You've been in a locker room and I've been in a locker room. To hear what Taves' version and hear maybe, they didn't hear about it until the next training camp, I think that's viable. I do. If this happened in in I believe it was early June or what have you. Like that's towards the end of their playoff run. They win the cup. All of that happens really fast. Okay, like by the time things are elevated to the John McDonough's level at the CEO and president of hockey operations level, as well as for him to have been given his psychiatric evaluation and talking to the psychiatrist and all of those things to happen over a 2 week amount of time. And then you win the cup. I understand things happen fast. And I understand when you're that close to the prize, why a coach would think that way. I understand why they would think that way. I think it's disgusting. But I understand in, Coach Q's mentality as to, above all else, you win. And that's old boys club, man. That is the NHL. That's the way it's always been. Right back to all the this isn't the only bullshit that's been covered up. It's interesting to see Taylor Hall come out as one of the people to talk about the old boys club, because there's a reason Taylor Hall's been traded 3 times and it's been for a bag of bucks every time. It's because the old boys club talks. They all know that Taylor Hall's had his problems in dressing rooms and respect for elders, and whether he's grown up or not, it doesn't matter. He's got that tagged, and that's the old boys club. Taves said they didn't find out till the next training camp. Sure. Maybe they all go home for the summer and they get their time with the cup, and, everybody goes and relaxes. It's a short summer after you win a cup, and you're back in training camp, and you're like, well, where's Aldridge? Oh, he couldn't handle the rigors. Well, it's a tough job. Maybe that's believable. I can give Duncan Keith that. But for Duncan Keith to say that he didn't find out until the morning of the press conference last week, that smells like a giant pile of horse shit to me. When you got Brent Sopel coming out and saying, in fact, in his state of facts, that he and Nick Boynton and the trainers and other players knew in 2010, that means they know that it happened when it happened, or they knew that offseason. So you're telling me that 3 or 4 or 5 players on the team knew about this, but other players all of a sudden didn't by the next spring, or within 10 years? Not to mention, Kyle Beach is an 11th overall pick. Let's say Broberg just goes and plays in Europe for 10 years. Do we not ask some questions? As fans, did teammates not ask questions? Hey, what the fuck ever happened to Phillip? Why didn't Phillip come back to camp this year? Hey, why did we lose our blue chip prospect that was a point a game player in the WHL for 5 years, a point a game player in the AHL, and then good enough to be called up as a black ace with 0 NHL experience, just disappear? You don't think any teammates asked questions? You didn't think they talked? If Sopel and Boynton, other players and trainers knew, and Quinville knew, and Bowman knew, and Cheveldayoff knew, oh, that's just the best kept secret over a decade? Come on, man. You don't think that at any point in time, Duncan Keith didn't hear a story about why Kyle Beach didn't make their team? You don't think that over the 10 years that didn't go from player to player to player and eventually get back to Duncan Keith over the last 10 years? What a pile of bullshit. Taves knew about it the next spring, but then they play together for 10 more years and it never comes up in a conversation? And one's a captain and the other one's an assistant? I call bullshit.
The Blackhawks gave Brad Aldrich a glowing recommendation so he could get a job.
And a severance.
And you know what else they did?
What?
Rick Westhead talked about it the other day. You want to go and get Brad Aldrich's file from the Chicago Blackhawks?
They deleted it.
There isn't one.
Yeah. Who does that?
So, I don't really, honestly, Dash. It's a complete mind fuck. I don't know what to think. I really don't.
Here we are, October 31st, Halloween 2021, date stamped. Who knows what the fuck's still going to come out of this, man? I think there's going to be a lot of stories still rumble out of this.
It's pretty spooky.
All puns intended.
Yeah, no, to say the least. It's ugly, and it makes you think. Like, I'm sitting here thinking the same as you. The league, Gary Bedman, Donald Furr from the PA, Stan Bowman. I'm not sure who owned the Blackhawks at the time. Kevin Cheveldayoff.
This is the Wirtz family. It just wasn't Rocky in charge.
Yeah, Joel Quenneville. Certainly some players in that room. Members of the Black Aces at that time.
Right.
A lot of people failed Kyle Beach. And I don't know how you live with yourself, or at least say I'm sorry. Hearing Jonathan Taves, almost like there's good people on both sides kind of bullshit.
What do you mean? Oh, defending Bowman?
Yeah.
Not defending him, but making sure he says nice things on the way out, kind of? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, basically. Almost coming to his aid. And
yeah, I wouldn't say he defended him, but he definitely didn't want to say anything bad about him.
I did respect Patrick Kane kind of saying that, if Kyle Beach would want to hear from him, he would like to talk to him. That's what Patrick Kane said.
11 years too late.
Right, but, I mean, to me, it's never too late to extend the olive branch if you truly are sincere about it.
That's true.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's a very, very disgusting and ugly thing, and puts a black cloud on the game. And I don't like the way Bettman handled the Cheveldayoff thing, basically giving him a pass because he wasn't senior management. Okay, I don't know if how you can tell me that he wasn't, but he was new on the job, so that makes it okay too. Like, I don't know. There's just so much. How do you let Quenneville coach that night after that, seeing that interview? Reading the report in itself.
The 32 Thoughts podcast reported that was a legal move. Basically, that if they would have told Quenneville not to coach that game, as far as employment law goes, like, they basically had to prove him guilty first and then have it happen. And it's just like it put a black eye on it, but legal wise, that's just the way it had to go. And Quenneville could have maybe done something noble and said, hey, I don't think it's a good idea for me to be in the spotlight and coach this game. I'd have a hard time believing that Quenneville didn't already know that he was going to be done the next night. Right? Like, Bettman gives them a heads up, I'm assuming. Says, hey, we're going to talk on Monday, but you better be prepared for this consequence, I would think.
And, people ask, why a resignation? Well, if they fired him, I believe they'd still
have to give him a severance. Yeah, if they make him quit, then he forfeits his salary. That's why Stan Bowman was walked away from aside as well.
And if anybody knows the answer to this, I don't. But if he resigns, that basically terminates the contract. But I do not know whether or not he gets a pension as part of that. I don't know if he forfeits that too, or if that stays with.
I think pension's based on time served. So it depends on how much time you had in the NHL before you resigned, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, he's coached all over the place, so I don't know.
He's got his games in.
Yeah, I don't know if he would lose the pension or how that actually works. To me, it's just, you can't have that face as a part of the brand anymore.
I can see the NHL offering him a job, Kyle Beach a job, or appointing him the director of, making sure this never happens again.
Right,
in layman's terms, right?
Right, and that's basically
creating a program and, taking care of him for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
But, Kyle Beach is suing the Blackhawks. Like, what, I understand the Blackhawks are trying to settle. What's that number, man?
I don't know.
Like, what if Kyle Beach is asking, What are his comparables from his draft year? What if he's asking for $50 million?
Right. Well,
I don't know. And then it's out there that the Wirtz family is potentially going to sue John McDonough.
is it a suit, over lost wages, or is it a suit over punitive damages, or both?
With John McDonough?
No, Kyle Beach.
Well, yeah, I think he's probably owed both if his lawyer knows what he's doing.
Well,
There's
yeah,
both punitive damages for what he's had to go through. And
right.
I mean, if what happened cost him and the old boys club cost him a 10 to 15 year career, well, how much was he going to make over that 10 to 15 year career? I'm sure he's not making that in tier 3 Germany, even though he won back-to-back championships. You know what I mean? So, and then, you look at the other side of that. If the Wirtz family is going to file a lawsuit against John McDonough, he's the risk is if the Wirtz family did know about this and it comes out, then they expose themselves. If they are dead fast telling the truth that they didn't know about this, I think they're crazy not to file a lawsuit against John McDonough. He's wholeheartedly damaged that franchise's reputation and did so by doing illegal things.
You can get tickets at the United Center for a Hawks game for less than you can buy a bottle of water at a Kraken game right now.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Right? Like now, and how long is that going to last? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Is there a ripple effect? Like now they can go after John McDonough for lost potential earnings. And I think this is going to be around for a long time and pretty ugly, man. Like John McDonough hasn't come out and spoke, nor would he if they were going to file a lawsuit against him. But if the Blackhawks aren't going to, that's one statement I'm looking forward to. And I'm also looking forward to Shovel Day Off statement, because I think I feel I'm owed, let alone other people owed that are involved, an explanation. I fully, once I saw Quenneville get asked to step aside, that the exact same thing was going to happen the next day. And I don't understand what the difference is. Like, I'm speculating here, and let me repeat that. I'm speculating here. Did Shovel Day Off participate in the investigation, whereas the other guys didn't? Did he get a pass because he was off to Winnipeg 2 weeks later? That was the last 2 weeks of his job. How much was he really involved in the last 2 weeks? If he may have been aware of it, and, I'm sure he regrets not coming forward with it or maybe following up more aggressively, but I don't understand what factor or catalyst would keep him safe here. What do you think?
Yeah. I just, I think the NHL decided that he wasn't a major factor in the whole thing. So they gave him a bit of a pass. And I think he was more forthcoming with information and not tight.
Well, and that's what I mean. Forthcoming with information. Does that mean he complied with the investigation and others didn't? You know what I mean? Like what is that exactly? That just sounds like more lawyer speak to me. Well, what I know, I'm just a homeless caddy that eats half-eaten sandwiches out of the garbage can.
Volkswagen!
Don't you like your home? Go to your home.
Are you too good for your home? Don't push me now, Bob. Now's not the time.
Yeah, let's put that one on the back burner for a while. I have a feeling we're probably going to have to discuss it again at some point in time. But, that's where I feel now, and I think it stinks. I think with some of the players are going to get caught in some stupid lies. And if it is Duncan Keith, I'm not saying it is. But if it is and he is lying, then he's an asshole. And I think that that's certainly not a distraction that the Oilers need, nor that they paid $5.5 million in Caleb Jones for. But anyways, I'll digress until that actually happens, if it happens.
James S. and AP on YouTube there.
Thanks for hanging in, James. Attaboy.
How have the real law enforcement authorities not got involved? And then AP says,
"Yeah, I agree, dude. I don't know."
maybe statute of limitations after all we're talking about the US of A. Actually, in Illinois, I think it was in 2019, got rid of statute of limitations for sex crimes. So this could be something that ends up in a courtroom if Kyle Beach wants to pursue it.
What do you know about Illinois? You're from Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Whatever. Maybe I messed it up on purpose to push your effing buttons, buddy.
Now
I
you're
like
gonna.
what
Now
I
you're
like
gonna.
what happy snaps.
Now you're gonna get it, Bobby.
Riding the bull. Happy riding the bull. Too bad that cell block wasn't a little bigger. You could do some laps in there riding that golf club. But
Yeah.
I don't want you to knock over Grand Fear or,
It's not
have a
that
book fall on your head or anything.
It's not that small. I could ride.
Jeez, put some pants on, buddy. Hey, I mean, you can't wheel your chair back forgetting you didn't wear pants today.
Yeah, I got shorts on.
I don't want to see your chicken legs. Was a Happy Gilmore ride a chicken into your cell block?
3 more months to hockey season. Oh.
Instead of that Mexican kid out being trick-or-treating, you should have had him behind the other side of the laptop throwing softballs at you.
Yeah, Mexican Derrick Rose.
Right on. You at least could have paid him to come in and scream, "You can do it," like Rob Schneider or something.
You can do it all night long.
All night long.
He should.
Well, you think we've teed enough balls off into the water and taken enough triple bogeys, or what else do we want to tackle tonight?
Watch this one over the highway. Yeah. Well, what do we got next week? There's Kraken on Monday, and then what's after that?
I'm not sure I looked ahead past Monday, to be honest. I know what we got going on next weekend, though.
You can fill them in.
Oh, little tease. Yeah, should be a big show next Sunday, a week from tonight, for episode 23. We've got a couple of guests lined up. We've confirmed Jason Strudwick, so we got Struddy coming on next Sunday, as well as his producer on TSN for the Jason Greger show and Jason Strudwick show, Connor Halley. And Connor Halley's a great guy as well. He's doing really good with his own podcast called The Other Connor Podcast, and also busy with a whole bunch of TSN projects. So we'll have both Struddy and Connor and not Happy Gilmore and his caddy, but back to Dash and Durst next week, and really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, Struds is a lot of fun. I like Strudwick. And Connor Halley's a pretty good guy. Should be a good time.
Yeah, I think that's coming right after the Kevin Lowe retirement night. They play the Rangers right before we go on.
That's on Friday, yeah.
So that'll be fresh, and that'll be fun to get their perspective on how that goes. So should be lots to talk about. And
yeah, Nashville Wednesday. That's the Rangers. Right. Rangers Friday. Yeah.
Friday. Yeah. So we got 3 more games. What's our record going to be in 1 week's time, my friend?
6-1 right now. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say probably 8-2.
That's what I was gonna say.
Damn it.
All right. Well, I'll have to agree with you. I'm your caddy. Won't go against the grain. You pay me the big bucks for a reason.
Who's the loss against?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I think I figured I was going to ask you the same question, to be honest. The Rangers, I think, maybe, to be honest. Maybe just a distracted night and other things going on. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't think Nashville's prepared enough and can match them offensively, and I think we'll beat up on Seattle, to be honest. What do you got?
Oh, yeah. I think the Rangers.
Now you have to agree with me.
Well, I'm sorry about tonight. I'll carry my clubs next time. They're my grandfather. they're,
Do it
they're,
without me.
they're my grandfathers, and they're pretty old.
No. Next time I have a bath in one of the rivers off of the tee box on hole 4, you can just leave me behind.
You look a little tilted to the right, but I think that's only because you're missing your left shoe.
What do you mean?
That's my puck, baby. Don't you ever touch my puck. Ernie, sports expert.
Nice. Grand Prairie represent.
Yeah. Well, have we done enough damage for the night?
We've done too much, I think, to be honest. If anyone's gotten this far in the podcast, we've already probably wasted an hour of their life they'll never get back. But God bless you if you're still listening.
Yeah. Hopefully, the what the frack or oil blowouts or any of that doesn't need to be as heavy as tonight's for the rest of the season. I sure don't like that whole subject, and hopefully the league does something to rectify, an area of weakness that's been exposed by this whole thing, so we never have to hear it again. Hopefully there's more of what happened there around the league. Makes you think that it's definitely a possibility, and that part, sucks. Because, you see toxic hockey culture and all that, and I gotta say, from my own minor hockey experience, I was never around anything remotely close to anything like that. Everything was great. I mean, I have no complaints about my minor hockey career at all. Did have an old school coach, in Bantam, that if he came off the ice and kind of had the wind knocked out of you, if the bench was short, he would slap you in the back to kind of knock the wind back into you and get you back on the ice, and away you go. And that was about the worst thing that ever happened in my whole hockey career, in terms of coaching or anything like that. And it's kind of funny because actually that whole thing worked. It did knock the wind back into you, and you were good to go. So I don't know. I hope there's nothing else remotely close to like this again in hockey, not just in professional hockey, but all the way along the lines. I never want to hear an incident like this ever again. And
Yep. Agreed, brother.
Anyways, I'll close this off tonight by saying what I always say: keep your sticks on the ice and keep reaching for the stars, and go Oilers, go! And just tap it in. Give it the old taparoo. Tap.
Give it a little tappy.
Taparoony.
You're gonna die, clown!
All right, good luck, buddy.
Somebody's closer. And you can count on me waiting for you in the parking lot.
Oh man, that was so much easier than putting get the ball in on one shot every time. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Now
Remember, it's all in the hips.
Now it's time to listen to Endless Love in the Dark.